What was your experience like off stage when you were playing a bully? Like, the better you did, the more people would hate you.
Right? When people come up and they say, I hated you so much, you were so awful, I say, oh, thank you, you're too kind. Because the more you want to reach for the TV and smack me, the better job I'm doing. That's absolutely it. And I guess I did it right. Because they said terrible things. I got hit with a cup of orange soda during the Christmas parade. People kicked me, I got things thrown at me. It's been a little odd.
We have a double treat for you today. Two actors from one of TV's most iconic shows. A versatile actress, comedian, and author, best known for her role as nasty Nellie Oleson. And an accomplished actor, producer, and author, best known for his portrayal of Almanzo Wilder. Celebrating the 50th anniversary of Little House on the Prairie, we are thrilled to have Alison Arngrim and Dean Butler.
Oh, good.
Welcome. Yes, right
Hi,
there,
Roy.
Dean. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Myself comfortable.
I have to tell you, just from the beginning, I know your name is Dean.
Yes.
I know your name is Alison, but should I accidentally call you Almanzo or Nellie at any time in this? We're just going to go on. We're just going to pretend like it never happened because, wow, Little House on the Prairie, 50 years.
Can you believe it?
I can't believe it because it dates me. It dates me because,
of course,
as a kid, I was allowed to watch 3 television programs. Sunday, of course, was double feature day. Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom with Merle Perkins.
I love that show.
Followed immediately.
Perkins.
Yes.
Wow.
Followed immediately by Wonderful World of Disney.
And
then I had to wait 2 days because where I was in our market, Tuesday night was the big TV night. I know it used to be on Monday night as well.
It started on Wednesdays, and moved to Mondays.
Mondays, where I was, they said, let's split the difference. Because I remember Tuesday was a big celebration in my house because we got to watch Little House on the Prairie. And so for me, this is such a treat, just being able to have this conversation, celebrate 50 years of Little House. What has the show meant to you guys?
I can't believe it's been 50 years. It's just, for me, I mean, I started there when I was 12.
Yeah.
Imagine your entire life being connected to this incredible show, but then also this character and people hating you. It's just been a really, really weird and fabulous experience.
That was like a big realization to me in my formative years of growing up and realizing you were acting. Or were you? We'll get to that. Dean, Alison came on season 1.
Right.
Alison, you had no idea whether it was going to be a success or not, but you came on later on and when it was already a success.
Right. No, when I arrived at the beginning of season 6, the show was an established hit.
Yeah.
I came in to be the love interest, future husband of Laura Ingalls. It's been just this amazing gift. I had no idea, as none of us did, that we would be potentially talking about this, being a part of it for decades after it finished. Yeah. Now, for Alison, it's 50 years. For me, it's 45 years, but I'm jumping on the bandwagon of 50 years because, it's just the right time. 50 is much better than 45. But no, it's been an amazing, amazing thing. I think, Michael said to me in a conversation we had, people will be watching this long after we're all gone. At 25, when he said that, I thought it was a little touch of hyperbole. But now, having just turned 68, I feel like, people are going to be watching this long after we're all gone, and we're so lucky for that.
We couldn't have imagined it. I mean, when we were doing the show, there was no such thing as cable TV, let alone VHS or DVDs or streaming. So it was literally impossible for us to fathom that people would still be watching it.
Media was so different at that time. The biggest thing was, do I have the tinfoil on the rabbit ears on the TV, correct?
Right. And
we got to move it because something's going on and there's too much static. It's such a different world today. But I have to tell you, Michael Landon knew what the show really had as an appeal that would last on far beyond the last episode.
You have great source material, the great
Right.
Laura and Wilder books, which speak of the American experience from a young girl's perspective, really one of the first times, maybe the first time, that had happened in American literature. And then you have, and it's all about what people did to survive. What Michael found is this wonderful capsule in which to tell stories. And Michael, the kind of storyteller he was all about what people felt.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much about what we did. I mean, we didn't drill down on how you plow a field or how you make butter.
Thank heavens.
But there were a lot of great conversations around the plowing of the fields or the making of a meal or whatever. But it was about, we did these things, but the stories were about something else.
I want to show a picture of both of you during the
those
time
years?
that you were producing.
Okay, yes, here we are. Yes, here we
We
are.
are adorable.
That's adorable.
I'm thinking definitely bad thoughts.
I love this because just like what you said, Dean, Michael knew the most important thing was to evoke emotion.
Yes.
And I've heard several individuals say the difference between something that is art and not art is something that evokes emotion, not just positive emotion, but any emotion. And what you were both able to do was truly evoke emotion. For you, it was the emotion of angst of the bully. Like, what was your next scheme gonna be? How were you and Willie gonna really get those,
And mom too.
and my horrible mother.
Horrible mother.
You got to have an example, don't you?
Yes, there's got to be a building block for all this.
It wasn't my fault.
No, never, no.
How I was
We
raised.
we do forgive you.
Yes, I mean, with Mrs. Olson for the mother, obviously this girl is going to act out.
How
and
else
not
are you
behave
gonna act?
herself. I mean, really?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So, yeah.
Dean, you come onto the scene, and now it's all about the emotion of romance. Will you ever see Laura as anything other than this little girl?
Yeah, right.
And
No,
so the
exactly.
audience is all, is he ever, we know the story is supposed to link, but there's this real tension going on of emotion going on.
It really had to be, the way it had to be on the series is it all had to be Laura's dream.
Yes.
It had to be her desire, her fantasy about where this could go. Given the age difference between Melissa and I, it could never be that Almanzo showed interest in her until the moment came where he was prepared to get really serious about it.
Yeah.
It had to be that way. I think otherwise audiences could have gotten a little uncomfortable, and as Melissa herself was a little uncomfortable with the way the relationship was, because it just wasn't something that she was really prepared for as a young person.
The real Almanzo was even older than Laura, than you were remotely to Melissa. He was much older. Laura
Well,
Almanzo
10 years. I was 8 years older.
Big age
but
difference in the real
15 to
story.
23 is that's
a
a
jump. It's a
big age difference
And
at that age.
She didn't have a boyfriend yet, so she was all like, oh no, I have to kiss this guy. And of course, me, I kissed that pig farmer when I eloped. I was 15, and I don't know, he was 27 or something, and nobody ever worried about me.
I want to hear more about this pig farmer, but we've got to take a break.
Okay.
And don't go anywhere, because we're going to learn how Alison and Dean have used their fame to help battle a deadly disease. Don't go away. We're here talking with Alison and Dean, and thank you, Mike, for joining our conversation as we're here talking about Little House on the Prairie 50-year celebration. We're going to talk about a deadly disease that you're very passionate about helping the people who are having to endure that. But before we get there in the conversation, I have a question that I've been wanting to ask you ever since I was a little kid, gathered around the TV watching Little House on the Prairie. What was your experience like off stage when you were playing a bully? Like, the better you did, the more people would hate you.
Right?
What was your experience off stage?
Well, it's true. It's when people come up and they say, I hated you so much, you were so awful. I say, oh, thank you. You're too kind. Because the more you want to reach for the TV and smack me, the better job I'm doing. That's absolutely it. But it is. I mean, people go into television to become famous and people will love them is the idea, and that just didn't work in my case. But I liked villains. I liked the villains in the movies. So fine. So I went with it, and then of course people started watching it.
Yeah.
And I guess I did it right because they said terrible things. I got hit with a cup of orange soda during the Christmas parade. People kicked me. I got things thrown at me. It's been a little odd. Well, when I got married, my husband called his parents. He was getting married, and she's not like she was on the show, is she? They were terrified for several minutes. It's been really weird. I was lucky that I had some school friends I'd known since the 3rd grade. So they knew me as me. They didn't care. So
those are your closest friends?
Yeah, so I had a nice group of people who completely did not care. But making new friends? Wow. Wow. Yeah. They were a little nervous.
As an adult, you can make that distinction. As a child, when people started throwing orange sodas at you, what did that do to you personally? That's the thing, 'cause I loved villains, and so I sort of knew. And I used to watch movies and TV shows and boo and hiss and go, here comes Captain Hook, okay. So it was a shock at first, like this is really happening, and then I went, wow, I've struck a nerve, apparently. They just lost themselves in it and couldn't control themselves. And that's a heck of a thing to do as an actor. So your response was, wow, I'm good.
Yeah. Everyone has a Nellie at their school. Everyone has a Mrs. Olson at their job.
Absolutely.
That's what I hear over and over. But yeah, Nellie married Percival, and she changed.
Yeah.
She got nice.
The Taming of the Shrew.
It was incredible.
There you go.
Amazing. Now, what's your favorite episode?
Okay, my favorite episode's the one where I go down the hill in the wheelchair.
Bunny.
Who does this? What? And for a child character on a television show, to fake paralysis and then get pushed down a hill in a wheelchair. Did you see that on the Brady Bunch? Did you see that? No.
You got what was coming to you for sure.
I made her do all my homework,
Yeah, of course. And your chores and everything else. What I was there to do, I was there to be this object of, this young girl's fantasy. So that's what Almanzo's job was in the dramatic sense.
Yes.
I loved having the opportunity to be that.
Be the heartthrob.
We talked about the fact that we had to be careful about the way we did this. But in terms of episodes, things like Sweet 16, where the first kiss happens, it was a trajectory-changing episode in the life of the series. Laura's no longer a little girl. The pigtails are gone. She's a young woman now. And that was a big turning point. In the very beginning, the wonderful moment that revealed that was yet another example of Laura and Nellie rivalry was an episode called Back to School in the beginning of season 6 with the wonderful cinnamon chicken scene that we are always asked about cinnamon chicken.
You will never hear the end of cinnamon chicken.
Yeah,
Have you
always.
ever heard the
Cinnamon
end of the
chicken.
cinnamon chicken?
Yeah, cinnamon chicken. I've never had cinnamon chicken.
It's delicious. If
You've had cinnamon chicken?
I make cinnamon chicken.
You gotta
there
make
you
it.
go.
I have to
for me
make you some.
sometime.
It's really nice if you don't dump cayenne pepper on it. It's great. It's just fine.
Yeah.
So while we still have time in this segment, I want to talk to you about your passion for a very specific disease.
Well, we mentioned Percival, that Nellie got married. Well, Steve Tracy, the lovely actor who played Percival Dalton, who was my husband on the show, went public when he was diagnosed with AIDS in 1986, which is a time a lot of people did not talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. No,
and here he was talking about on television, so everyone knew this was someone that had been in their living room, so they knew, and he felt it was important so people could see this could happen to anyone, and here was someone they knew with it. And so many people had so many questions that I went and volunteered for AIDS Project Los Angeles. I wound up on the hotline, the AIDS hotline, the Speakers Bureau, the food bank, all of their services that they provided to people living with AIDS and their families in Los Angeles. And I wound up helping found another group, Tuesday's Child, that helped families with children with HIV and AIDS. And I did what I could to help people during a very terrifying time.
Nobody truly knew how it was spread. People
no
wouldn't
idea.
hug somebody who had AIDS.
They were afraid when their loved one would come over. I can't go visit my friend who was sick in the hospital. It's like, it's not how it works, really. You can. And now there's still organizations that are doing wonderful things to help you. We think it's gone. It's not really gone.
No.
And there's some great groups. And I just did a thing, Radiant Healthcare, their gala and everything. There's wonderful groups all over the country that are helping people still who are struggling with HIV and AIDS. And even with the great drugs, they still need help. And I try to raise money for them and help them when I can.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. I want to talk to you about a whole lot more, but we got to take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation right here with Alison and Dean. We're back with Alison Arngrim and Dean Butler. Now, I want to show you both a photo, a very special photo I got from production. I want you to see a picture here.
Yeah. I remember that party.
Michael Landon, that's you right next to him.
That was early on. That was the show we just started, and there was a big, fabulous one of those gala things.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first very fancy dresses. I was so proud.
What was your relationship with Michael like?
It was fascinating because he was directing the show and writing the show and producing the show. He was the boss, as well as Charles Ingalls. And he was so funny. He had the craziest sense of humor. And he loved working with all of us kids. Yeah. Part of him, I always said, never got past about, 12 or 13. Yeah. And the sense of humor was there. And so with all of us children, terrible jokes and carrying on. And just, in Bunny, when I'm lying there bleeding from my nose, unconscious, I'm waiting for them to say, cut. And nothing happens, and finally I feel a finger in my nose. I mean, this kind of thing from this guy who's overseeing this whole very serious show. Yeah. And so he'd be dramatic and emotional one minute and then just completely ridiculous the next.
He served as a role model to so many people, I think. He died, if I remember right, of pancreatic cancer.
True,
yes,
true.
He did.
My first wife died of pancreatic cancer. Right. And it was not long after her diagnosis I thought, well, that was Michael Landon.
Yeah.
And I remember how he went public with that.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it was kind of a journey all of us took together with him in
He was right on the Tonight Show talking about his treatments and everything, which nobody did for pancreatic cancer back then.
Once again, a role model.
Well, I think he was all about letting people know what was going on with this. And an organization called PanCan that we have all gotten involved with to some extent is all about awareness and treatment and services for people dealing with pancreatic cancer. And that really came about so much because of Michael.
He knew he was everyone's dad.
Yeah.
Everybody's brother, everybody's husband. And he knew he couldn't keep that from them, that he had to go public and be personal and say, yes, this is what's happening. I won't keep it from you.
Right.
Says a lot about him. Now, you both have written books.
Yes.
Dean, we'll talk about yours first here. Prairie Man, why did you write this, and what's your favorite part about getting this out to the public?
Well, we all have a unique take on this experience. I thought, well, I'm going to share it. And I started in January of 2023, getting up at 5 in the morning and writing 7 days a week for 6 months. And I hope people like it. It's about Little House. It's about my life. It's about a familial connection that I had with this wonderful character that I played that's been a part of the Little House world for all these years, going back into the 30s.
I'm so glad we finally got one of the guys to write a book.
There you go.
We've been having to hold it all up by ourselves.
Well, and she was so great to agree. I called Alison and asked, would you consider writing a foreword?
Absolutely.
And she said yes. And I called Melissa Gilbert and I said, would you consider writing a foreword? And so rather than having to choose between, they both did.
So Laura and Nellie are still fighting over Almanzo, and we both had to be given the chance to write a foreword. Jealousy, feud still simmers. I don't know. No, it's a great book. I mean, obviously I had to read it to write the foreword, so I'm very pleased with it. I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
Well,
Alison.
you set the stage by writing your own book and give it the background. What's the favorite thing that's come from people responding to your viewpoint?
The number of people have been inspired, said, I now feel I can tell my story because of your book. I'm like, yes, do it.
Something I love about Alison's book and have loved from the very beginning is you really hear her voice.
Allison's voice or Nellie's voice?
No, Allison's. Well, it's both. It's both. But you hear Allison's humor and
wicked
wonderful
sense of
personality.
humor, maybe?
A little, just a little.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Someone say
wicked sense of humor.
And I like how you did a tie-in with actual family history of yours and Almanzo in the 1800s.
Yes.
And how yes, there are people, you have ancestors who live this kind of life. You do know what they're talking, and the whole interesting comparisons of their lives, that was great. And then, of course, yes, he has to talk the kiss, and saying, okay, here's what
Lots on the
really
kiss.
happened.
Yes. Oh, it's yes.
Chapter 9, everybody.
That
Chapter
kiss.
9.
That kiss. It's called.
That kiss, but yes.
There's so many fun memories from what you both did on this series. I'm so thankful that we get to celebrate with both of you 50 years, and we look forward to seeing how many more decades that what you did affects generations to come.
Will you come back for
Yes.
the 75th?
Yeah, totally.
Boy, can you imagine?
What are we doing for the 60th?
I don't
Really?
know. Let's get through this year.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank
this
you.
time with us. Be sure to stick around. I have some thoughts that can help you deal with any haters in your life. Let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, what other people think about you. You know, like those delightful little nuggets of wisdom you get at family gatherings. You know, you'd be so much more attractive if you just smiled more. Thanks, Aunt Karen, but I'm saving my smiles for people who don't think raisins belong in cookies. But seriously, opinions are everywhere. It's like a never-ending buffet of unsolicited advice. Sometimes it's helpful, but oftentimes it comes from someone else's baggage. When someone criticizes you, don't let their opinion define who you are. You're the main character of your own life. Don't let the critics get you down. You're fantastic just as you are. I'm Roy Ice, reminding you, your best life is possible, and your tomorrow can be even better than today. So let's keep growing. Thank you so much. It was so fun having you on. If you want to learn more about today's guest, be sure to check out Lifestyle on social media. You'll get a look behind the scenes and see exclusive content not found anywhere else. Follow us and join the conversation.